Hello everybody, Crazy Blind Jake here with another affordable weapon review. And today we actually have a very inexpensive but really neat gem. This is the German Bastard Sword, or hand-and-a-half sword, made by Warrior Replicas. This sword is more or less a knockoff of Windlass's version of the German Bastard Sword, and I've heard mixed reviews about it. I've heard some people say that these things are absolute junk. I've heard other people say that these are actually very good swords. And they usually sell for between like $100 and $150 US, depending on where you get them, plus shipping, so on and so forth. And I figured, you know what, for the price I could get one of these for, brand new, I figured I'll take the risk, I'll eat the cost, I'll buy one, and depending on what I think about it, will depend on whether I sell it or keep it. Either which way, I wanted to get one in to do a review. I haven't done any testing with it. Of course, it's been too rainy, because I live in Central Florida right after where Irma has hit. So, yay. But I've survived, so that's great. But I figured, you know, I'll take the hit and I'll get one of these in and see if it's worth anything. If it's just a really nice wall hanger or if it's actually a usable sword. Even if it's only moderately so. And, you know, despite all the negativity that I've seen written about these and how they're a windlass knockoff, which, yes, shame on any company that copies other swords' designs, but, you know, the problem with swords and other things like that is, you know, it's kind of hard to not copy other people. The problem is when you're actually trying to use the other company's name or something, that's when it becomes a problem. But that's besides the point. So, the German Bastard Sword by Warrior Replicas. A windlass knockoff, which ironically both companies are in India. So that actually doesn't surprise me, or wouldn't even surprise me if they're like part of the same parent company or something. I've seen that many times with knives and swords and things like that, so who knows? I don't know all the specifics there, but that's, you know, really neither here nor there. We're just reviewing this here sword. So, some things I will say that I like about it is that it is actually peened, or if there is a nut construction or a threaded construction, it is peened over that if that is the case, and done very well. It's a little bit on the heavy side, but for a less expensive sword, hey, not surprised. Especially for at around $100 or so. It did come sharpened. Not razor sharp, but it did come sharpened. Did come with a nice scabbard, or at least a decent scabbard. It even came with a leather frog to go along with your scabbard to put it on your belt, so that's actually really nice too. So that, all in all, is actually really neat. I do like, excuse me, I do like the pommel. I love the leather grip, although it's almost a little bit too round. The only thing I really don't like is the stitching here on the side is, well, not the best, as you can see there. But hey, not terrible. I've seen a lot worse on a lot more expensive swords, actually. But it's functional. The guard's pretty nice. Sorry, I gotta switch hands here, folks. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Excuse any mess you see in the background. I like the guard with the rings to protect your hand. Come on, camera, focus. Sorry about that, folks. My phone does not always like to focus on things. But see, it's got the rings on the side there, which is actually very, very nice. They actually have another long sword from this company that's very similar, just a different color with a slightly different pommel. I believe that the quillins are a little bit different too. But this one, the German Bastard Sword, is very nice. It's like got like a black end or antique look to it, and it looks really sharp. I mean, it looks really clean. I don't necessarily like the blade geometry per se, and it is quite a hefty sword. I don't think it's that well balanced, but it is functional. At least lightly so, anyway. If you like a heavier sword, anyway, it is very, very heavy. It says it only weighs a little over 2 pounds. I don't know. I think it weighs more than that. But when I got it, it didn't have any rattling. Everything was nice and tight. I was very impressed by that. The guard doesn't rattle. The pommel is on there nice and solid. The scabbard's in decent shape. And it actually fits in the scabbard well. Yeah, if you shake it hard enough, it will come out, of course, because it's a very heavy sword if you hold it upside down. But it actually does fit in the scabbard very well. And here, I'll show you the scabbard real quick. I already have the frog on there, kind of. Don't know how well you can see that, but it's just a simple scabbard. And then flip it over and see the stitching up the middle, which I'm not super impressed with, but hey, whatever. It's a functioning scabbard. Now, see, the one thing I don't like is the frog that they sent with it. See how the back of the leather on the frog isn't, like, finished or anything? I don't care for that, but that's whatever. But it is actual leather, which is kind of cool. You actually smell the new leather. I like that smell. But, all in all, not bad. It fits well. Sword fits well inside of it. I can't really complain. I believe that the steel used for this sword is a type of carbon steel. They say high carbon, but in my opinion, it's probably more of a lower carbon steel. Probably something in the realm of 1045 carbon. Something like that, which some people say that that's high carbon, but to me that is not high carbon. To me that is a lower carbon or a medium carbon. EN45 something 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 something. I'm sorry, I don't remember specifically what it's called, but it's pretty much what Windlass uses, and like I said, this is a Windlass knockoff. Or that, or possibly owned by the same parent company, which is my theory. But I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But all in all, for the price of this sword, I'd say it was well worth it. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to sell this one or keep it for my private collection, but I would definitely not hesitate to sell these out of my store. For someone who's looking for a kind of traditional style sword that is functional, at least to a certain extent. Like I said, I don't really like the blade geometry on it, but that's whatever. You know, I can only do so much about that. But hey, like I said, I got this sword for somewhere in the realm of $100, and like I said, they sell for between like 100, 150, depending on where you get them, blah, blah, blah. I was actually very impressed. Especially since so many people gave these swords such a bad rap. I'm very pleased with it. Do I think it compares to even a Legacy or a Hanwei or anything like that? No. Do I think it compares to most other Windlass products, or at least their so-so products? Yeah, I'd say so. It sure as heck doesn't compare to like an Arms and Armor or an Albion, but that's whatever. But, you know, I try to sell to people that can, you know, afford these things. I very rarely get people to buy super, super expensive items, so this would fit definitely in my affordable bracket. My affordable bracket is usually like $300 and less, give or take, depending on the item, or how much I think the item should cost at a base level price for something usable, so on and so forth. But anyway, enough about me rambling. Like I said, the nitpicky things about this sword are the stitching on the grip here, on the side here. Meh. The handle's almost too round. I think if they made it a little bit more oval shaped, or a little bit more flat, almost rectangular or something, that would be better. But for the price, I'm not really complaining. I expected a lot more round of a handle, and it's not totally round, so yay, good for you guys. Or your replicas, even if you are ripping somebody else off, you did an okay job. I really shouldn't be praising you for that, but not bad, guys. All in all, not a bad sword, especially for like $100 or so. 100, $150, not bad, not bad. So I cannot give it 5 out of 5 for a few things. One, like I said, I'm really nitpicky about this here. That stitching there. Not wild about that, guys. That, and the stitching on the scabbard's kind of ugly. So, of course, duh. And that is essentially supposed to be a copy or a knockoff of another company's sword. It's kind of a shame, shame, shame on you guys sort of thing. So I can't give it 5 out of 5 stars. However, for what this sword is, and the fact that I think that it actually is functional, even though I haven't tested it yet, that I actually think it's reasonably functional, at least to light to medium use, I gotta give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I didn't think I would. After reading all the reviews and ordering it, I was expecting a big, fat pile of disappointment. But no, it's actually not terrible. I've seen a lot worse for a lot more. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'd say it's earned that for what it is. Now, from a blind person's perspective, if the sword wasn't so gosh darn heavy, I'll say from a blind person's perspective, or even from a normal person's perspective, but especially from someone who's blind, I do like the fact that it has the rings for protection. Also, you can fit your finger up in there for finger control, things like that. It does dig into your hand a little bit there, but a sword like this I'll probably use with gauntlets or gloves anyway. But other than the fact that it's a little overbuilt, or at least a little bit too beefy, at least for someone my size, it's actually doesn't seem like it would be too bad of a sword to use. Especially if you're a stronger individual more used to a heavier sword, this would probably be right up your alley for like a lower level sword. So again, this is the German Bastard Sword, or hand and a half sword, made by Warrior Replicas. And I would easily give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Actually very impressed, despite what I've read about it. I'm actually very pleased. And I might actually even buy more swords from that company, simply because if they're even close to as good as this one for the price, it's worth the investment. Now, if I order other ones from the company and they're garbage, I'm going to be very, very upset. But anywho, again, 4.5 out of 5 stars for the Warrior Replicas German Bastard Sword. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Sorry about the rambling. I'll give you another quick scan of the sword, and I will end the video. Again, I hope you enjoyed this. Have a fantastic day.